The podcast you're about to hear involves true stories, which may contain graphic content that is not suitable for children. Listener's discretion is advised. This is Esoteric Oddities.
Hey
Hi, guys.
What's up?
What's happening?
Did you miss us?
In this week's episode of My Life is a Fucking Joke.
Oh God.
Why did I spell my name wrong? I was making a reservation for this place. This place in my hometown, they have like igloos and they're like heated. So
Wait, outside?
yeah, me and my mom are gonna do that Christmas Eve.
Cute.
Because I spent it with my dad's family.
Cute. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
So the guy was like, "What's your name?" And I was like, "Sarah." And he's like,
Okay.
Can you repeat that? And I'm like, C as in cat, A as in apple, R as in ready,
Wait.
R as in ready, and then A as in apple. And he said, "Oh, sorry,
Kara.
Kara."
And then you probably got mad.
No, I was like,
You were like, wait, why did you say A as an apple?
I don't know. I told you I'm not good at those. I'm like not good at those. My brain does not work fast enough.
You spelled your name wrong.
Yeah, I could have said E as in electric. Or also, why did I say?
It's the city of electricity.
Also, why did I say R as in ready?
Wait, what is it? What is the actual R as in
Like Randy.
Randall?
Or like
Or Fofty, please. Somebody out there, please know what I'm talking about with Randall
or
and
like
Fofty.
ravishing. Do you remember
Ravishing
that video
raspberry.
of you?
What?
You were like R as in Ranger.
No.
I'll show you it.
Oh God. Oh wait, were we pre-gaming? I was laying in your bed. Yeah.
You were playing with your hair.
I was laying with my hair. What were we even talking about?
I don't know.
Oh my God.
We're not good.
Hi guys. Really quick.
Hi.
I just have to say I said something incorrect in the previous episode. I was talking about when I was at the gym and the water was coming out and it wouldn't stop. And I said it was like the I Love Lucy episode with the sushi, but it wasn't sushi. It was chocolate. But in my head, I was referring to the Drake and Josh episode where
With
it
the
was
sushi,
sushi.
yep.
And that episode was titled I Love Sushi. Okay. But thank you
I
for
love
letting me know I was
sushi.
wrong about that. First off, I'm just a millennial paying homage to our Lord and Savior Drake Bell. I had such a crush on him.
I had.
You know
And now
that
I'm like,
there was a D at the end of that. Like I don't have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have.
No. But speaking of the gym, it is like that man listened to the last episode where I ranted about him getting on the treadmill right next to
He
him.
probably always does now.
Well, somebody else did. It wasn't the same man. But it's like a big joke. It's like I went there at the same time. Plenty of, places to choose from. Pick a treadmill on the other side of the gym. There's literally like one other person on these 95 treadmills. And this man runs next to me. Why?
Also, like, why would you want to voluntarily hop on a treadmill right next to someone?
I don't understand.
What is the interest here?
Oh, and then I sort of, almost had a big old mental breakdown on that treadmill like moments later.
What happened?
I knew it was happening. It always comes around this time of the year. Remember like 2 years ago, the great Target tissue paper fiasco?
Yes.
Which is stuffed in the hole in my wall right now. It's a lot.
Wait, it's so funny. I think you called me in a panic and you were like, the wrapping paper is green and I only have turquoise.
No, this is what happened, okay? Usually I'll have, a holiday mental breakdown, which
Everyone does.
I don't think it has. I think the holidays are just like that final straw type deal. And I know the cheese does not stand alone here, folks.
Sure don't.
I know you all can relate to this. But the way that it happens, it's seemingly over stupid shit because I was with my ex-boyfriend who's wasn't my ex at the time, and I had my gifts picked out for everybody and it matched the wrapping paper and it was all like black marble.
Love that.
And everything was perfect. And I went to a Target by my parents' house and they had plenty of white tissue paper.
Always.
Well, me being the dumbass, I was like, it's fine, I'll grab it by the Target by my house just because I have a bunch of other shit I need to get at Target and I might as well get it in like one big old swoop.
Right.
So I waited too long and it's like the 23rd and I was putting all of my home videos onto a hard drive for my parents for Christmas that year, and that crashed the night before. So I was like, oh my fucking God. And on top of that, I went to Target to get the fucking white tissue paper, and the only tissue paper they had was white with like gumdrops on it. And it would look so tacky with everything matching. It was like black marble and gold,
not wrong.
everything.
And then gumdrops.
And then gumdrop tissue paper. So I was like, I started freaking out. And my ex was just like, it's just tissue paper. And I literally...
just tissue paper.
Oh, everyone in that Target heard that.
Also,
and I
you
cried.
can't say that to someone.
I did. But also, I can, from his perspective, I can see how, like...
Yeah.
That just seems like the thing. Like, I think he was saying it in a more of way like, oh my God, it's not okay. Don't put pressure on yourself. But you know me, I'm like a fucking pressure cooker. Like,
listen.
If the pressure ain't there, why am I even here?
Okay. I do it for the pressure.
I felt like that in the gym. I didn't. Like I felt it coming up, but then I was like, okay, no, it's fine. And I put something, I was listening to something that was like triggering it. So I listened to something else and then it dissipated away. But like, you know,
look at you conquered.
I really felt like, oh no, but when I got to the car, it all came out. Don't worry.
Yeah, it always does.
Just held it in for a second.
There is, there's like a study that shows like that when you cry, I don't know if you cried, but when you cry, it's like, old shit leaving your body that like you didn't get to like really
process.
Tap into. So
that's a good way of visualizing it. I'm gonna believe it as that. So every fucking teardrop counts. God damn it!
Listen, I literally will cry until I can't no more.
That's the way to do it.
I don't care.
I never cried before this year. No, I did. I cried last year. I cried last year a lot. Oh,
here we are realizing things.
Oh my God! But it's like, you know, I'm not even gonna get into it. We don't even need to get into it. Oh, but while I was at the gym, I did see a commercial for this. It was a little Christmas commercial for a clapper. Do you remember the clapper?
Yeah, lights on.
Why? First off, why was that a thing? I guess it is a good idea for people who are like either
wanna
elderly or disabled or lazy. It
Me.
is. But this one I saw was Darth Vader.
I don't like that. Wait, what was it?
It was just like a little Darth Vader head that plugs into the wall and like it. So when you clap, he says something.
Oh, I don't like that.
I couldn't hear what he said because, you know, I was at the gym, but it was on one of those TVs and I was like, that's kind of funny. But imagine like if you're just, parents, turn this podcast off. But imagine like if you're getting plowed in the ass and it's just like,
wait, that's so funny. Light on, light off, light on.
And
that's hilarious.
And Darth Vader saying something in between. He's
like every time.
I am your daddy.
You're not wrong.
Oh my God, that'd be hilarious.
Hilarious.
Oh, also, you guys, we're going to jump into everything in a second, but I do also want to apologize to you, Sarah.
Me?
Because when I was editing, yes, you, why?
I don't know.
I receive an apology. Yes.
Me? I
relish this moment because you won't get another one.
Okay.
I'm kidding. But
no, I'm usually always the one that's wrong. That's why I was like, me and apology?
No, because, well, that's another thing. Okay, so in the last episode, the topic was like twins / doppelgangers, right? So in my head, doppelgangers is like what, like it's a supernatural thing, but I get like doppelgangers also means people who look like people. Mm-hmm. And in the text, you said, let's do twins. And then I said, oh my God, okay. And then after that, you did text me and you said doppelgangers, but I didn't remember that because I don't think I checked it till the following time you texted me. So then I said it to you. Right. But I don't like the way I said it to you. It sounded like I was saying it to you in like a condescending way that was like, but I didn't mean it in that way.
It's so funny because I didn't even think about it.
Okay. Because
I didn't even give it one thought.
I was listening back and I was like, wow, I don't like the way that just sounded because I didn't mean it. So I do apologize.
Thanks. But I didn't mean it. I like didn't.
You didn't even phase you? You're like,
I
okay,
did say twins, so he's not wrong. It's me. I'm not like great today. I'm hungover, so.
Oh my God, it's usually me hungover, and I'm not.
It's me. I was the bad girl this time.
My, how the turntables.
I went axe throwing with my coworkers, and let me tell you, it looks easier than it actually is. It took me like a while to actually like
4'9"
get it in there, but tell me why. So you axe throw and you just like shift between people, and then there's like a tournament. So there's like these 2 blue dots, and you have to call oh shit before you hit them, and they're 20 points. So tell me why my blind ass, I threw it and it went like, this is the like fucking blue dot, and this is the axe, but my blind ass thought I got it in, so I was like, yeah, oh! And then I walked out to it and everyone was like,
girl, you didn't
get it.
Oh no. At least you did it. Was it fun?
It was fun.
I kind of want to do it. I was scared that you were drinking and doing that.
I was
scared for you. I knew
Yeah,
you
I don't
were.
know why they let people do that.
It's a little scary.
It is. Well, I felt like after my third glass or like cup of wine,
You better just have a cup of
I
wine.
was just like throwing it.
Just winging
Like
it.
I was not thinking. I was just like,
that's scary.
here you go.
Here you go. All it takes is one person and a Target tissue paper mental breakdown to decapitate every motherfucker in that
They
building.
kick people out if you look like you're too.
That's
full.
good. I mean, at least there's that.
See,
I truly don't know why they let you drink and do it.
Yeah, me neither.
I don't want to be a party pooper because I'm sure it's very fun when you do it, but I'm just like waiting for a lawsuit to come out soon of somebody getting like hurt.
I want to do a rage room.
Yo, same.
We should do it.
I did one in my living room in May.
I love that for you, but we should do a real one.
We should. I thought about it. I looked into it. Trust me. So did my therapist. You guys, this is Esoteric Oddities. That's Sarah. I'm Jonathan.
And we're here.
And, well, barely holding on. I'm still alive, but I'm barely breathing.
Still alive, but I'm barely breathing.
Before we jump into it, if you guys could give us a rating
5
and
stars.
subscribe to us wherever you're listening to. Tell your ugly friends about us. If you want bonus content, head on over to patreon.com/esotericoddities and check out our website. You can get some merch and you can get details and pictures about all of the everything we're talking about. Okay, so the topic today is victims and or killers
with your
our first names.
name.
Her name is Sarah. That's Cerra. Did you find anybody with that?
No.
They're Sarah, like Sara.
Yeah, I really, to be honest, I didn't even try because I
You
was
should
like,
have watched there be like an amazing story out there that's like.
You're not wrong. Not looking like it. All right. Sarah Jane Whiteling. She was born in 1848, supposedly in Germany. She allegedly is from there. She told people who she was, but researching this, a lot of people don't believe her. I'm not
It's
really
also
sure
the 1800s.
why
So
exactly. So it's like really hard to trace back. But she moved to Philadelphia around June 25th, 1889. I'm actually saying the right years this time, so I'm doing better.
You're doing fantastic.
So, claiming to have been born in Germany, Sarah was initially married to Tom Brown in Clinton, Iowa in 1868. So, she moved around a lot. At some point, the couple moved to Chicago, but after the Great Fire, they decided to move to Philadelphia. A few years later, Tom Brown was jailed in the Eastern State Penitentiary for highway robbery and died serving his sentence. I thought that was cool.
We've been there.
Yeah. Sarah then had a child with a man named Thomas Story, who kept an oyster saloon in the city, and it was named Bertha.
Wait, the baby was or the oyster saloon? I'm assuming the baby.
The baby, yes.
What's an oyster saloon?
I don't know. It's probably like...
Where they just serve you oysters?
I guess.
And like beer?
Yeah.
Have you had an oyster before?
No, I don't like it. It's like eating tongues.
Here's my thing is what I don't so I had it when I was in New Orleans. It was the first time I ever had one, and
I don't like.
And my ex's mom was teaching me how to do it, and she's like, "Do it like a shot. I've seen you take shots all the time." And I was like, "Okay,
you
call me out."
Shoot it back.
So I did, and she was like, "So," and I was like, "It was weird, and I feel like it's crawling around in my stomach." Also, I feel like that wasn't. It's more of a delicacy rather than something you enjoy. Am I wrong in that?
Yeah, no, and I don't like all. It's like watery and
and like salty.
Yeah. Nah, one time we went to Coney Island, and I told her I wanted clams, and she got the big ones. I couldn't eat them.
Because you could see everything.
Well, it's just like they're so big. I feel like every time I like tried to eat one, it was just like so like long. I was like, this is not great. Scary. Okay. And it was like eating like tongues.
Were you like right? I don't know where you can find good stuff in Coney Island. I don't. You get some good funnel cake over there.
Okay. Yeah. So she got the clams and she got the big ones, and I was just like, this is gross.
And then you don't want to like return it.
Yeah.
No, not return it, but you don't want to like throw it out.
Right.
I went to a fancy restaurant and they gave me a fish with a head.
And you were like, take it back.
No, I didn't. The waiter came over and it was a whole thing.
I love that. I love
really
that
embarrassing.
They saw the cue.
No, they didn't. You know who called them over. And I was like embarrassed. And it was on like an empty stomach. And I didn't eat halfway through the meal because I was embarrassed to say something because it was so fucking expensive.
Right.
It was the dude from Chopped or some.
Oh shit!
From
I love
some
that.
fucking Food Network show. He has one big ass expensive restaurant.
Yeah. And
I think we were there for our anniversary or my birthday or maybe Valentine's Day or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I like didn't want to say anything, so I just kept drinking wine on an empty stomach, and I was like wasted, and I was like, I can't. It's literally staring at me.
Yeah.
I did that with a lobster too. I don't know. It was standing up too. It was the weirdest thing. It was like standing up, and they peeled it from the top. I've never seen something like that. I was like, if you're gonna do that, okay, like that's
peel
cool.
all off.
Right, and then I had to sift through the bones, and I was like, I'm not having a good time. Much. I don't like that. And everybody's like, it's so sophisticated. Like, you're going to love it. And it's like, if that's sophistication, take me to TGIF, fuck my ass, because I don't want that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Give me a dried out steak, if you will.
Oh, God. Okay. So back to Bertha and her dad's oyster saloon.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So in March 1880, she married John Whiteling, bringing along her then 9-month-old daughter. In 1886, the couple had their own child, which they named William C. Whiteling, but nicknamed Willy Nilly. It's not Willy Nilly, but it's Willy, and every time I say Willy, I think of Nilly, so I put them together.
Oh, so you literally just came up with the nickname Willy Nilly. Okay.
No, his nickname is actually Willy.
Right.
But not Willy Nilly.
I'm glad I just swallowed before you said that. Wow, that sounded... I was drinking water. I was glad I swallowed the water before you said because I would have spit all over my laptop, and I don't have Apple Care warranty. Okay.
I don't have nothing. So, on March 17th, 1888, Sarah Jane Whiteling, she called for the family physician. His name was Dr. George Smith. She called to examine her husband John, who was vomiting and suffering from
arsenic
in
poisoning.
The stomach. Wow, did you?
No, it just sounds like 1800s, and it's like a woman.
You're not wrong.
Okay,
so
sorry.
The doctor diagnosed John's illness as inflammation of the bowels and prescribed some medicine. It did not relieve the suffering, however, and 3 days later, John passed away.
I wonder how.
Then, a month later, the same Dr. Smith was called to the Whiteling home again. This time to tend to Mrs. Whiteling's daughter, Bertha.
Oh, no. She did not.
She passed away as well. And Dr. Smith said that her death was due to gastric fever. Then, in early June, Dr. Smith was called back again to treat the 2-year-old William Whiteling. Willy-nilly. He basically was like, this is weird because I've been here every fucking month and people keep dying in her. So, like, what's going on?
Right. Like, I hope she's not poisoning them. But at the same time, if she stops poisoning them, then I'm not going to have a job. Right. So, keep doing your boo.
So, he like, pushed the case to Dr. George Dietrich. When William died, which willy-nilly, the doctor said that it was from obstruction of the bowels.
So they're all looking like some bowel injustice here.
It's like stomach issues.
I wonder if at some point they initially thought maybe someone was like poisoning their water or like...
True.
Because that would be my initial thought if I didn't know what our podcast was about.
Right. If I didn't know. So after 3 deaths with similar symptoms, Dr. Smith became suspicious and went to a coroner with concerns that something wasn't right in the Whiteling household. This coroner is also a deputy. Is that normal?
Yeah, back then, probably.
So it was Deputy Coroner Powers went to the home of Mrs. Whiteling and he examined the drainage but found nothing unusual.
I have a question, and I don't know if you can answer it. Do you know where in Philly they were living?
No, it never said.
I'd be curious.
Right?
Wouldn't it be crazy if it was like on your street?
Right?
But Philly is a big bitch.
You're not wrong. And there's like so many historical places. It could be anywhere. He found nothing unusual after checking the drainage. Then another coroner named Ashbridge. Can
I ask what the drainage is? Is that like...
I think it means the sewer, so I think...
Oh, okay.
What you said with the water is spot on.
Oh, okay, so I thought... Okay, so it wasn't like his drainage, like they weren't sifting through his
No,
poop.
They were sifting through like the drainage of the house.
Got it.
I'm guessing they're checking the water.
To see what's okay, right.
Yeah. Something in the water, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So then Coroner Ashbridge, he jumps on it. He ordered the house to get exhumed.
The body?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Dig that house up.
Take that house out, please. So he ordered the bodies to get exhumed and a chemical after they like checked the bodies for this chemical analysis of the viscera, arsenic was found in the bodies.
That's interesting that they could do that back then. That's kind of wild.
Right? So Mrs. Whiteling was arrested and her house was searched for poison.
Oh, shit.
At first, she denied having anything to do with the death of her husband and children, but after
I would never do that.
questioning, she finally gave a detailed confession beginning with the story of their life before arriving in Philadelphia.
Oh, God.
Are you ready for this?
I think so.
She was born Sarah Jane Bard in 1848 and brought to America from Germany when she was 9 months old by her mother, who died soon after they arrived. She was raised by an American family in Iowa until she was 12 and then began working as a housekeeper for different families. Like I said before.
At 12?
Yeah.
Oh, poor girl.
She said, I'm being put to work. In 1868, like I said before, she married that time brown guy. They moved to Chicago, where they stayed until the Great Fire. Then they moved to Philadelphia.
Literally my life.
Okay.
Minus the Iowa, because I lived in Chicago and then I moved to Philadelphia.
Sarah's husband, John, he was a streetcar conductor and a factory worker. She got the poison in form of a commercial product for exterminating rats.
Oh, like rat poison.
Yeah. It was also known as rough on rats.
Rough on rats. I bet there was like an F in there, like RUF on rats.
Rough on rats. So Sarah brought it in to kill insects that had infested her home, but her husband told her to stop using it out of fear that the children might be poisoned. Her husband had a history of depression and was often too sick to work. So soon after Sarah brought the poison home, John told her that he had taken it himself to commit suicide.
Oh shit. Oh, this is her story to the police.
Yeah.
Okay.
She sent for Dr. Smith, and although she knew her husband had taken the poison, she did not tell the doctor. She was afraid that if he died, she would not get his insurance money. His life was insured by John Hancock, and she received $145 for her husband's death.
Okay, come through.
She also received $85 from Order of the Buffaloes. I don't know what that is.
Order of the Buffaloes. Okay, come through. That's like a quarter of an eighth of a Louis Vuitton bag.
Yeah, like we're almost
the
there.
zipper. She could probably get the zipper.
$145. She's probably, I'm rich.
You can't put a price tag on my life, baby. I'm priceless.
You're not wrong. About a month later, Sarah decided to poison Bertha. Her motive, she said, was not for the insurance money, but because she feared that Birdie might grow up to be sinful and wicked. She had a habit of stealing pennies from people and had once stole a pocketbook from her teacher.
Yo, she would hate you.
Okay.
She would hate us. We are, what was it? Sinners
and
wicked.
Bertha was a thief and a liar, and her mother did not want her to grow up to be a great sinner. She gave Bertha a spoonful of rough on rats dissolved in a glass of water every half hour until she started to show symptoms.
Yikes.
Yeah. At the same time, she gave poison laced candy to neighborhood children to throw suspicion on the candy.
Oh, fuck that bitch.
Bertha's life was also insured by John Hancock, and when she died, her mother received $122.
Did kids in the neighborhood die, or did they just get sick?
They just got sick.
Oh my God.
But she was trying to make it be like, it's the candy.
Right. She's a cunt.
It's Willy Wonka.
It's Willy Wonka who killed willy-nilly. We shouldn't laugh
wrong.
about it, but that's so fucked up. I hate this lady.
Then Sarah admitted that her little son William was sinless. She poisoned him to get him out of the way. He was a burden. She could not go out to work and care for him. On his death, she received $17 from Prudential and $30 from John Hancock. These are banks, I'm assuming.
I don't fucking know.
And she quotes, "Now I know my children are angels in heaven, and I want to meet them when I die. I don't expect to meet my husband there because he committed suicide, and a suicide cannot go to heaven."
This bitch.
Problematic. But the police and the coroner did not believe that John
committed suicide,
had taken his own life, and a few days later, Sarah admitted his murder too. She stopped in the street on the way home from buying rough on rats. Then she said, "The devil possessed me and told me to go home and give my husband some of it, and I did."
So you're a sinner and wicked, Miss Sarah.
Right. So Sarah Jane Whiteling was charged with 3 counts of murder. Her trial in November was for the murder of her daughter Bertha. There was no question of her guilty ass
trickery.
Okay. But the jury would decide if she killed with malice. I don't know what else it would be.
Oopsies.
Might have been an accident.
Oh my God. Did I accidentally slip rough on rats into 3 members of my family within like a month?
The kids in my neighborhood.
Whoopsie. You know how that happens.
She pleaded not guilty And
Bet.
she pleaded like insanity. Throughout the trial, she was always wearing a black dress with a thick black veil covering her face.
Oh, she was really going for this
Said,
role.
I'm in mourning.
Bitch, well, I'm in afternoon.
Okay.
Nice to meet you.
Her attorney, Mr. Paxson, argued for what? Hello?
Lenience?
No, her attorney, Mr. Paxson, in his closing argument, called for mercy. He said, I appeal to you, gentlemen of the jury, as you love and venerate the character of women.
What does that even mean?
I don't know. By that spirit of holy reverence that surrounds your recollection of mother, sister, or daughter, by the holiest, purest, and sweetest ties of our fallen nature, by that tender regard for the character and suffering of women, which is today the distinguishing mark of Christian civilization.
Beep, skirt. Okay, sir. Hi. Separation of church and state.
Okay.
Say it with me. Separation of church and state. Just gonna. Okay. Go ahead.
He says, to approach this awful question with tenderness, mercy, and fear, as you hope that the great judge of all in your last extremity will heed your plea for mercy, render in this hour your duty to this poor creature, this child, your sister, and mine, in the great neighborhood of God's love, for with what measure you meet, it shall be measured to you again.
Wow, there's a place for some fucked up poetic fucking lawyers out there.
Well,
oh my God.
Mr. Paxson's words had affected one juror before the jury retired to deliberate.
No.
He favored clemency because the defendant was a woman. The remaining 11 spent the next hour and a half convincing him otherwise. In the end, the jury found Mrs. Whiteling guilty of first-degree murder. She was sentenced to hang on March 27th, 1889. Mrs. Whiteling's motion for a new trial was, of course, denied. She petitioned the governor to commute the sentence to life in prison, and this was denied as well. He did grant a temporary respite, but on June 25th, 1889, she climbed the steps to the gallows in the country prison. She went calmly and almost serenely to her fate, whispering a prayer, but making no statement. She had earlier told her spiritual advisors that she expected to meet her husband and children in heaven. The trap sprung at 10:07, and 11 minutes later, Sarah Jane Whiteling became the first woman executed in Philadelphia County.
Wow.
And that's the story of Sarah Jane Whiteling.
First off, bravo. That was fantastic.
Thanks.
I never heard of that before.
Yeah, and I thought it was weird that her name was Sarah and she lived in Philadelphia.
First. That's wild. Also, I hate her. She is a cunty bitch.
She's a crazy, crazy girl.
But also, it's scary how smart she was.
Right? To the candy?
Even to, the first manipulation where she was like, my husband was depressed, that's why he wasn't at work. And it's like, okay, you could look into that. Story checks out. And then it's like, he took this to, he told me not to leave it in the house because it might kill the kids. Like, those detail, like, bruh.
Right?
And for him to take it, and she was like, well, I thought I wasn't going to be able to make it with my kids because I couldn't take his like life insurance money if he killed himself. Like, that puts her as the victim. That's kind of like if she
so sad.
To be honest, if she didn't kill her kids and that was her story and she went with it,
she probably would have got away with it.
She would have got away with
it. The devil told her.
They wouldn't even have questioned her because that first one passed and she could have just got away with. Well, it sucks that, I mean, I'm glad she didn't get away with it. Right. If you're not a sinner and wicked. Fuck out of here, Sarah.
You're wicked and sinful. Also,
I hate that her name is Sarah. Is it Sarah?
Yes.
I know we have some Sarah listeners, so I won't say it. But you're, I'm always surprised when people spell your name right. Cerra. When people message us.
People pay attention. They said I gotta spell it right.
As per my last email.
Okay. And my sources are coming from murderbygaslight.com.
Wow, thanks for that. So, it is my turn. My sources are from Orlando Centennial, mycrimelibrary.com, as well as Murderpedia. Sorry, on Tuesday, March 10th, 1998.
That's my brother's birthday.
Oh my God, happy birthday,
and Trish.
Oh my God, happy birthday, Trashy. On Tuesday, March 10th, 1998, in Oviedo, Florida, 48-year-old handyman William Benton was leaving a house he had been servicing when he saw what appeared to be a woman who had fallen in her garage. When she got closer, he noticed she was laying in a pool of her own blood. So he quickly dials 911, and that's when he saw a young teen attempting to start a car out front of the house. He ran to the boy and asked what happened, and the boy didn't answer and continued to frantically attempt to drive this car. Moments later, the police arrived and pulled 14-year-old Jonathan Arce, A-R-C-E, out of the driver's seat and arrested him. Investigators entered the garage to find a gruesome scene. The home belonged to 68-year-old retired librarian June Stillman, who now laid on an autopsy table. So now they find her body in the garage. So now they're going through the garage after they take her body away. So gathering their evidence, authorities find that Mrs. Stillman had asked her 14-year-old neighbor Jonathan to mow her lawn and take care of her cat while she was out of town for the weekend just 2 days before. So when they looked into it, Jonathan did not have a criminal record. He had been picked up once for skipping school, but other than that, he had no legal issues. During his questioning, Jonathan told authorities he was ordered inside Mrs. Stillman's house by an unknown masked person armed with a gun and a knife. And according to Jonathan, the hooded stranger held him hostage for about 2 hours and then let him go. And he's like,
what?
And the masked stranger just killed her, and I was trying to get away really fast. But the story started to fall apart really quickly. Remember, this kid is 14 years old. So Jonathan changed his story. He then said that Mrs. Stillman was upset and wanted him to come inside her house to show him something he had done wrong. She then became very angry and began yelling at him before coming at him with a knife. However, the evidence suggested something very different. So inside Mrs. Stillman's tidy suburban home, police found what they believed to be the reason for the murder. A piece of paper sat on the table in her kitchen, and it had Mrs. Stillman's handwriting on it. The word "gone" was penned at the top, and below was a list of items. A string of pearls, 100 blank checks, a variety of silver coins, and specifically a 1925 silver dollar. So authorities began piecing together what they believed really happened. Jewelry and other items had disappeared from June Stillman's home, so she suspected that her 14-year-old neighbor, Jonathan, was the culprit. He was the one who was entering her house when she wasn't home.
And he changed his story.
Feeding her cat.
That's like a number one rule, that you're guilty.
So Mrs. Stillman, this is what police are thinking happened. Mrs. Stillman invited him in on Tuesday morning to pay him for his service, but to also ask him about the things she had noted written down as missing from her house. When she did, the teen snapped. Police think Jonathan grabbed a knife and stabbed her in the kitchen. Mrs. Stillman screamed and fled to the garage to escape. And even though she was 5'3" and Jonathan was just 4'9", she was fragile because of her age. Jonathan knocked her to the ground and grabbed a variety of garden tools.
What the fuck?
He hacked her body using an axe, a shovel, a rake, and a pair of shears.
Wait, is this like the story he's telling them? Or
no,
this is like what happened?
This is based on the evidence they found in the garage. Police are piecing together what they believe happened. So in the garage, they found all these fucking gardening tools, like an axe, a shovel, a rake, and a pair of shears that were used on her body. The young teen then continued bludgeoning and stabbing the old woman's body. According to Police Lieutenant Dale Coleman, quote, "There was not a tool in the garage that was not covered in blood," end quote.
Yikes.
Right. So in the garage, the schneers.
Please don't edit that out.
I will never. What the fuck
The
are
schneers.
schneers? Oh my God. Can we use that like instead of like the audacity?
The sneer.
The gumption. The schneers.
The gumption.
Can we make that a thing? Let's do
Yes,
that. Okay.
I will.
I love that. The fucking schneers, y'all. Oh my God. So in the garage, the shears were beneath her body and the bloody axe was nearby. They also found a trail of blood that indicated the attack had started in the kitchen, then moved to the garage where it appeared Mrs. Stillman, who was 68 years old, either touched or was pushed into 3 different walls and may have twice tried to get outside. According to a man named Leroy Parker, who is a crime scene expert, after Mrs. Stillman pressed unsuccessfully against the main garage door, she tried to circle back to the side door near her washer and dryer. The door was covered with blood from someone pressing against it. There was also a bloody smear on the door jab, which suggests that Mrs. Stillman may have gotten partway out the door but was dragged back inside by Jonathan. So after the murder...
He said, drag a bitch.
Right. After the murder, Jonathan ran to steal her car. The car he was trying to start was her car. When he saw the handyman who had saw him, due to a deep cut that was on his hand, Jonathan was unable to release the emergency brake and use the Prindle, the shifter. And this is when the police arrested him. So that's why he couldn't start the car, was because he had a big old fucking hole in his hand and he couldn't.
Why didn't he use the other hand?
I don't know.
Sir.
14-year-olds.
You're not wrong.
Authorities weren't sure how long the two had struggled, but they did know that Mrs. Stillman attempted to fight back. Jonathan had a deep cut on his right hand, as I said, presumably from a knife, plus scratches on his arms that were consistent with fingernail marks from Mrs. Stillman. So, June Stillman's autopsy indicated that she had suffered more than a dozen blows to the head and over 80 stab wounds.
What the fuck? He went in on her.
The deepest gash was in her abdomen, and one of her fingertips had been completely chopped off. It was a fatal stab to her jugular vein that caused her to bleed to death on the garage floor. So, to authorities, this looked like an act of pure rage and overkill. So, that same day, when Jonathan was arrested, a 1925 silver dollar was found in Jonathan's pocket.
He is just...
He told authorities that Mrs. Stillman had given it to him.
No, sir. You just stabbed this woman 80 times in the stomach, and somehow in that exchange, she gave you this fucking quarter.
Right. It was on the fucking piece of paper.
Like, think again.
Right. And then I just have this side note that the cat was picked up by animal control.
Oh, thank God.
So don't worry about that. Don't worry at all. So the following day, during a search of Jonathan's home, which was only 2 doors away from Mrs. Stillman's house, the police found the missing pearls that were on the handwritten piece of paper and other jewelry mentioned in the listed items. They also found the owner's manual to her car in his room.
Ew. Sir, you were really plotting on this for a while.
Right. I don't know if he was plotting to kill her. I believe that he probably took it out of her car to possibly steal her car at some point in the future.
Yeah, but like, he went in on her.
He did. So who knows? So the car, they removed and sent off his bedroom door frame, which had bloody handprints on it. So this is where like a bit of the story doesn't make too much sense to me. So now I think it's possible that he may have killed her, ran home in like a panic or something, maybe checked the manual to see how to do it, touched his door frame, and then ran back to the car and tried to get away.
Sounds like him.
I'm not sure. It wasn't hella detailed. This case also, I only found one writer who I will mention at the end of this who actually like covered this case pretty much. It was really it was really hard to find stuff on this. They removed it and they sent away his door frame, which had bloody handprint on it. The police also found bloody clothes and shoes from inside Mrs. Stillman's Toyota Corolla. So yes, they're thinking he took off his bloody clothes, threw it in the car, planned on stealing the car, ditching the clothes, getting away with murder.
Like, I'm out of here.
Right. Well, Jonathan made his first court appearance that Wednesday. This is the following Wednesday. I'm sorry. He stood next to his mother fidgeting, but said nothing as the judge read the charges against him. First-degree murder, burglary, grand theft, and battery of a person over the age of 65.
Did he get life?
He's just being read his charges.
Oh.
So he was then held in custody of juvenile authorities, and Police Lieutenant Coleman said that during several hours of interviews on Tuesday, Jonathan showed no remorse. Quote, "It's like you're accusing him of not taking out the garbage.
What?
He just didn't seem to care," end quote. Right. Well, also, like, where is your headspace if you just chopped a woman to get like apart with multiple like
to get
garden
some pearls.
tools?
and a quarter.
Right. How much is a silver dollar worth? $1?
Yeah.
Like a 1925 silver dollar?
Yes, $1.
Hold
and
on, wait.
people,
I'm gonna look it up right now. It might have been 1925 silver.
but people don't really take them.
Well, if it's a collectible, you can probably exchange it. Okay, I see one here that's for $2,053, but I also see one here that's for $20. So, and I also see one for $490. It had to be collectible.
Yeah.
If she noticed that it was gone, you know, and he would take it, it probably was worth more than $1. Okay, so 2 years later, on June 26, 2000, Jonathan, who is now 16 years old, was in court for this brutal slaying. So in court, a crime scene expert testified that Mrs. Stillman grabbed Jonathan by the arm in a, quote, claw-like grip, end quote. This expert then testified that Mrs. Stillman had threatened him with a knife when Jonathan wrestled it away from her, then stabbed her to death in a panic. I have a couple red flags and questions about this crime scene specialist. Also, I'm not a crime scene specialist, but this guy's unbiased, but I don't really see where he... Also, I didn't know this lady. She could have been off her rocker, you know? It could have been.
Right, like
I don't know.
I guess like maybe there was a reason, but like
I don't know. Okay, but remember, a medical examiner counted more than 80 stabs and puncture wounds in Mrs. Stillman's head and body. So there's this guy, his name is Wayne Hill. He is was a firearms dealer and former police officer. So he gave his account of what he believed happened in a written report and a sworn statement to attorneys. So this is what this guy who's chiming in is saying. He says that they found bruises on Jonathan's shoulder and left arm, indicating that Mrs. Stillman, who was 5'3" and 110 pounds, grabbed him hard and possibly dragged him into her kitchen and began yelling at him about the missing items. At the time, Jonathan, again, who was 4'9" and weighed 103 pounds. So according to this dude who's making these claims, who again wasn't there, he's just basing this off of bruises and pieces of a story he's putting together in his head. So according to this guy, he said, Jonathan then, in fear, punched Mrs. Stillman, bruising her eye, and possibly, this is when he broke her nose. I guess she had a broke nose too. Well, you know what else? She also had 80 stab wounds in her finger cut off with fucking smears. So,
black eye.
So Mrs. Stillman then grabbed a knife from the kitchen to defend herself. Hill said Jonathan may have had the wrong impression that she was going to kill him, so he then reacted. So he grabbed the knife by the blade, which means he caused his own hand thing.
That's how it got there.
Right. So then when she fled to the garage, that's where the two struggled. So here's the thing. If this story, if we're going by this man's like story of what's going on, when she fled, wouldn't that be like, okay, she's not going to kill me anymore, like call 911?
Right, and let me not like stab her 80 times in the stomach, but like you're like accurate.
And the face.
Aggressive.
It was her face too. It was her face, her head,
and
her everything cut off her finger. Got it. What it is. What's up? So that is when she tried to ward him off by throwing gardening tools at him, but Jonathan kept coming and stabbing her repeatedly. So that was all Wayne Hill's account of what he believed to happen based on blood evidence and some bruising found on Jonathan. What really happened inside the house and the garage is unclear. So then the assistant state attorney said that no one is qualified to say what happened because no one but Jonathan and Mrs. Stillman were there. So then this same state attorney had asked the judge to ban Wayne Hill's testimony, saying that it was based on speculation, which it was. Anyway, So if convicted, Jonathan would be sentenced to life in prison. So then they set his trial for August 2000. So August 22nd, 2000, the day of the trial.
Here we are.
According to his attorney, Jonathan went into shock and blacked out during a struggle between the two. The blackout theory was new and varies widely from what Jonathan had told the police the day of the murder. So remember that Jonathan had initially said that he was ordered inside Mrs. Stillman's house by a masked person armed with a gun and a knife. The hooded stranger held him hostage for 2 hours, let him go, and he's like, I don't know what happened. That wouldn't explain your fucking hand, bitch.
Yeah.
And what the fuck? All the shit in your hand. Come on, man. So
he's digging himself in a deeper hole.
You already know that Jonathan later changed his statement, telling the police that he did stab Mrs. Stillman to death when he came at her with a knife.
Yeah, because if you didn't, who the fuck did?
Well,
the ghost of Christmas past? What the fuck?
Well, this confession had been thrown out so jurors would not hear it in this court. What jurors did hear about was the physical evidence. So the assistant state attorney said bloodstains proved that Jonathan and Mrs. Stillman struggled in the kitchen and that Mrs. Stillman was attacked at least 3 or more times at various locations in the garage. In her injuries, it suggested a monumental struggle. I love that word, monumental. Love it. So William Benton, who was the handyman who discovered her body, was the state's lead witness this day. So the jury was also shown the note on Mrs. Stillman's kitchen table, which suggested that she discovered some missing items from her home. The jury was also shown that bloody shoe prints that they actually had found. The blood in these shoe prints was Mrs. Stillman's blood, and that the shoe print themselves belonged to Jonathan, meaning that he was the only possible killer, placing her blood physically in the same spot as his shoe prints.
And voila, magic.
So the jury was given the theory that Jonathan was walking to the bus stop when Mrs. Stillman invited him inside. According to Jonathan's attorney, they argued, and that escalated to, quote, physical combat. You don't say.
Okay.
He went fucking Edward Scissorhands on her. Mrs. Stillman was the first to reach for a weapon. This is according to Jonathan's attorney. And when she grabbed the knife, she attacked Jonathan several times. When Jonathan suffered a major cut to the hand, this is when he went into shock and blacked out. Since he did have a cut on his hand, we don't know when that happened. We also don't know if he got it himself or if she could have possibly grabbed the knife back and, tried to fight back. So we don't know who initiated this whole thing. So
hopefully it was her. Because I just
hopefully it was him that initiated it.
No, I'm saying hopefully it was her.
That gave him the right.
He deserves something for that.
Something. So the attorney then says, quote, the next thing Jonathan remembers, he is standing in the garage. Mrs. Stillman was on the ground. She was indeed dead. End quote. That's great. Good.
Thank you for that. She's got stabbed 80 times in the stomach and then a bunch of other things. But
just blacked out.
Thanks for confirming she's dead.
A fucking axe, my dude. Fucking schmears.
Oh, I was playing with axes.
I know. It's coming full circle. A fucked up little full circle. So Jonathan's attorney did not say his client was innocent, but he did ask jurors to find the teenager guilty of, quote, something less than first-degree murder. So basically he wanted second-degree murder or manslaughter, basically just by saying that he was attacked first, that Mrs. Stillman initiated it, and that hopefully he can get a lesser sentence.
Hopefully not.
Right, but Jonathan himself did not testify. So jurors took only an hour to deliberate, and they found 16-year-old Jonathan Arce. I know. Guilty of first-degree murder. He was immediately sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole, but because he was 14 at the time of the murder, that was the only sentence possible, since the Florida Supreme Court had ruled that no one under the age of 17 could be given the death penalty. So they wanted to give him the death penalty, but he was 14 at the time, 16 when he got convicted.
Right,
so they couldn't.
Damn it.
Jonathan, who spent most of the week-long trial with his head bowed, showed no emotion. He was transferred to a state prison a few weeks later. His sentence was later reduced to 75 years. So Jonathan Arce's current release date is set for 2069. He will be 86 years old. So there's a possibility he'll be getting out. And that is the story of Jonathan Arce and the murder of Mrs. Stillman.
He might not make it.
What do you think?
I think that he was trying to kill her all along. I don't think it was like oh shit, like something happened and now I have to kill this bitch. I think he wanted to kill her. Because why would he steal the car manual? Unless he was trying to steal the car and she found out and he was like, I have to kill her now.
I maybe. Mm-hmm. I feel like there's more to the story. I think she may have known something else about him. But I think he may have literally just panicked. I think it's possible he could have been planning her murder.
You're not wrong. And been like, well, this is what I planned for.
Right. But also, I think he may have found that she found out. He wasn't expecting her to keep tabs on her fucking jewelry, every single piece that he stole.
Right. Because he's like, she's old.
Right. So I think he might have been thinking that, oh shit, what's going to happen now? I panicked. Nobody's going to find out if I just kill her, and it's a mystery of who killed her. And then it all goes away. No. Right. Because he's a 14-year-old and that's just how it goes. So I don't know. It was definitely fucking overkill. I wouldn't say, it is possible that he blacked out while he was doing it, but I think he made the conscious decision to be like, to have this really quick plan in his head and be like,
Right.
I'm in trouble. I did something bad. The only way I'm going to get away with it is if she goes away. She's going to go away. I'm going to kill her.
Do you think that I cut you off?
No, it's
Sorry.
fine.
Do you think that he would have got a lesser sentence if he didn't stab her 80 times in the stomach?
I don't know. And I thought it was interesting that, and also I couldn't find the court files. I looked for them. I couldn't find too much on anything that anybody really wrote about this. From what I was reading, I didn't see that they had talked about overkill at all.
Yeah.
So I'm just a little confused as to why that wasn't brought up. If she had over a dozen injuries to the face and the head, but then she got stabbed 80 times. And I'm just going,
right, that
I'm
seems
a little
like
confused.
Really overkill.
Yeah.
You could have been good at the head.
Not that I think it's a good case for him, but I feel like that was weird that they didn't mention it because his defensive team didn't use he went in, he blacked out because he stabbed her 80 times.
Right.
Maybe they didn't use it because then they could have turned because they could have turned that and been like, well, it was overkill, so this is what it is.
Like malicious.
Yeah, I don't know. It really wasn't talked about.
Wow.
I think it's interesting. And honestly, all I really did was went to Murderpedia and I typed in my name and I clicked the first case.
Wow.
What did you do? Did you type in like Sarah murder?
Yes, you already know how I fucking Google. Sarah killer.
I love that. But I like that because it's like, I mean, they're fucked up cases, yes, and the 68-year-old woman is still dead, and there's children from your story and that man who we don't know if he was going to commit suicide or not. Like, all these people are dead and it's fucking awful and it's fucked up. But I'd never heard of your case. I had never heard of my case. So it's just kind of like we're shining light on cases
and
that
just so we've been doing this for 2 years. I keep cutting you off. This is bad.
No, that was literally the end of my thought.
It's weird that all the cases that we cover, some are alike in ways, but they're always a different outcome.
Yeah.
I feel
well,
like
it's always usually bad people.
I mean, it's always jail time.
Usually bad people.
But it's just like weird how from state to state it's different.
Yeah.
Sentencing is different.
It is wild. I do think about that sometimes. I mean, it makes sense, but also like the system's pretty fucked.
Yeah.
The system is pretty fucked. And in Florida, they definitely wanted to like give him a death sentence, but they couldn't because he was so young.
Right.
Which is another thing that's crazy. He was 14 when this happened and he doesn't know a life outside of jail.
Right. Also, it took 2 years to sentence him.
Yeah.
So was he like sitting in jail?
Yeah, that's usually how, I mean, like a process that takes a while. So it's unclear why the sentence was reduced to 75 years.
Yeah.
Probably something with like, I think
him being probably
I read something about his IQ was on the lower side, but they didn't go deeper into it, so I don't quite know. It might have been that.
Yeah.
It might have been because he was 14 and low IQ that they shaved off a couple of years, but it is possible. If he lives to 86, he could be let out in 2069.
Imagine that. Wait, when did this happen?
This happened, he got sentenced in 2000. It happened in 1998.
So just imagine 1998 to 2020.
Yeah, it's a big difference, and he hasn't been outside of the walls. So imagine like 2069, he'd be like, "What?"
He's like, "What's happening? Cars are flying.
Cars
it's like the year
flying.
3000."
Not much has changed,
the year
but we live underwater because global warming is real.
You're not
and
wrong.
Scary.
Wow.
Okay, so you got one last story for us about a little girl named Sarah.
Yeah, sir. I got most of my information from .co.com. I don't know why I'm talking like that.
I
Sorry.
kind of like it. It's sexy.
Thank you.
Yeah. So give me murder while talking like that.
So, Alan.
No, don't do it.
Okay. Alan is 46 and Diane Johnson is 52. They live in a really nice home that's sat on 2 acres of land in a very well-off suburb area in a small community of Bellevue, Idaho.
Okay, home of the potato. Come through.
Potato. Alan.
Imagine being like, I'm sorry to cut you off, but
that's okay.
You know how they have like state to state, like Miss Illinois, Miss Pennsylvania, Miss Idaho.
Idaho.
We'd be like, Cindy, we know, Idaho.
This kid got in trouble one time in my chorus class because we were seeing Christmas chorus class.
Oh, chorus.
We were singing like Christmas carols, and he pointed to someone and said like, ho, ho, ho.
Oh no.
Yeah.
He is a sinner.
He got in trouble.
Wait, what did we call it? A sinner and wicked.
And wicked.
Shame on him.
So Alan and Diane had been married for 20 years and were devoted to each other and their 2 children, Matt and Sarah.
Oh, God.
The Johnsons were well liked in the community. Alan was a co-owner of a popular landscaping company, while Diane worked in a financial firm. In the early morning hours of September 2nd, 2003, Sarah Johnson ran out of her home screaming for help. She told neighbors that her parents had just been murdered. When police arrived, they found Diane Johnson laying under the covers of her bed, dead from a gunshot wound that had removed most of her head.
Oh, so a shotgun wound.
Alan Johnson was found laying next to the bed, dead from a gunshot wound to the chest. The shower was running and Alan's body was wet. Based on the wetness of his body, bloody footprints, and blood spatters, they think that he stepped out of the shower and then was shot, but managed to walk towards Diane to check on her before collapsing and then bleeding to death.
Oh.
So the police immediately hop on this crime scene. They're securing it. They're sectioning off. They're sectioning off the entire block around the house.
Was Matt older or younger? His name was Matt, the brother, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
They don't really say.
Okay.
While police are checking everything in the house, they find a pink bloody robe in a trash can outside of the Johnson's home, and it also had 2 gloves. On the left hand leather glove, one was a left hand leather glove, and then the other was a right-handed latex glove.
Oh.
Inside the home, detectives found a trail of blood splatters, tissue, and bone fragments that went from the Johnson's bedroom into the hallway across to Sarah Johnson's bedroom. A .264 Winchester Magnum rifle was found in the master bedroom. Two butcher knives with the tips of the blades touching had been placed on the end of the Johnson's bed. There was bullets also found in Sarah's bedroom, which was located around 20 feet across the hall from the Johnson's bedroom. There was no evidence of forced entry into the home. When Sarah Johnson first talked to the police, she said that she woke up around 6:15 and heard her parents, this is in the morning, and heard her parents' shower running. She continued to lay in bed, but then heard 2 gunshots. She claimed she ran to her parents' bedroom and found their door was closed. She did not open the door, but rather called for her mother, who didn't answer. She said she was scared, so she ran out of the house and began screaming for help. But then her story changes.
Okay.
It changed several times throughout the investigation. Sometimes she said her parents' door was slightly opened. Other times she said her parents' door was closed. She said that her door was closed, but not her parents' door. So, mind you, in the first one, she said her parents' door was closed. She did not go in, and she went outside to yell for help. But based on the forensic evidence found in the hall and Sarah's bedroom, both her door and her parents' door would have had to have been opened. Sarah also admitted that the pink robe was hers, but denied knowing anything about how it ended up in the trash.
Well, I don't know how it got there.
Okay. When first asked about the robe, her first response was to say that she did not kill her parents, which investigators found really weird. They're like, we didn't
literally say that.
If you did, but okay. She said she thought the killer was a maid who had been recently fired by the Johnsons from stealing.
Just like Jonathan Arce.
Okay, Arce. The owner of the rifle used to kill the Johnsons belonged to Emil Spiegel, who was renting a garage apartment in a guest house located on the Johnsons' property.
I'm sorry, who?
Mel Spiegel. Mel.
Oh.
Neil.
Wait, is it really Mel?
It's Mel.
I'm done. She said I'm fucking hungry,
I said
bitch.
meal.
You said... Oh my God. You just had Burger King.
Mel Spiegel.
I'm dead. Okay.
Okay. So, Mel Spiegel was away over the Labor Day weekend and had not returned home on the day of the murder. When questioned, he told police that the rifle was kept in an unlocked closet in his apartment. Sarah Johnson was described by neighbors and friends as a sweet girl who enjoyed playing volleyball. But another Sarah had basically morphed over the summer months once she was infatuated and obsessed with her 19-year-old boyfriend.
Oh, no.
Bruno Santos Dominguez.
Do not tell me.
Well,
This has to do with a Okay, continue.
Sarah and
Bruno.
Yeah, Sarah, I don't want to use his last name. Sarah and Bruno had been dating for 3 months before the murder of her parents. The Johnsons did not approve of the relationship because
She was probably young.
Bruno was 19 and he was an undocumented Mexican immigrant.
Wait, how old was she? Did you say? I'm sorry.
No, it didn't say. I'm guessing maybe she's 16.
Yep, it says 16. I'm looking at a picture.
Boop!
And the brother was older.
Oh, love that. Okay, so this Bruno guy also had a reputation to be involved in drugs.
Oh, thank you.
Close friends of Sarah said that a few days before the Johnsons' murder, Sarah showed them a ring and told them that she and Bruno were engaged. They also said that Sarah often lied, so they did not completely buy into what Sarah was saying about her engagement. Did we cover this story?
No. I don't think so.
Sometimes they sound so familiar from all the other
I
ones.
know.
On August 29th, Sarah told her parents that she was spending the night with friends, but instead she spent the night with Bruno. When her parents found out, her father went to look for her the next day and found her with Bruno at his family's apartment. Sarah and her parents argued, and Sarah told them about her engagement. Diane, who was her mom, was very upset and said that she was going to go to the authorities and report Bruno for statutory rape. And then she also said that she was going to get him deported. They also grounded Sarah for the rest of Labor Day weekend and took her car keys. During the following days, Sarah, who had a key to Spiegel's apartment, was in and out of the guest house for various reasons. Both Diane and Sarah called Matt Johnson, who was away at college, on the night before the murders. Matt said his mother cried about Sarah's relationship with Bruno and expressed how embarrassed she felt by Sarah's actions. Sarah seemed to accept her parents' punishment a little bit too easy and told Matt that she knew what they were up to. Matt did not like how the comments sounded and almost called his mother back, but decided not to because it was so late. The next day, the Johnsons were dead.
Wait, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Was Matt not there?
No, he's away at college.
Oh, who was shot in the bathroom? I thought Matt was killed in the Matt was killed.
The dad was shot in the bathroom, but made it to the mom,
okay.
and then he kind of collapsed by the bed.
Okay.
And then Mel Spiegel, he's living in the guest house, and that's his rifle.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought there were 3 victims here. It was parents and the brother died. Yeah. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, he's away at school.
Okay.
But he knows some shit's going down. So DNA testing showed blood and tissue belonged to Diane on Sarah's pink robe, along with DNA that matched Sarah. Gunshot residue was found on the leather glove, and Sarah's DNA was found inside the latex glove. Diane's DNA was also found in the blood that was on socks that Sarah was wearing on the morning of her parents' death. On October 29th, 2003, Sarah Johnson was arrested and charged as an adult on 2 counts of first-degree murder, which she pleaded guilty. So, what other story? It was the maid. No one else was around.
Right.
The maid got fired.
Yeah. Well, that would be a motive, but also like that probably fell through real quick.
Right. So there was one problem with the prosecution. And it had to do with a major piece of evidence with the pattern of blood splatters found on the pink robe. Most of the blood on the robe was on the left sleeve and the back of the robe.
What if she knew that blood was gonna fly, so she put it on backwards? Because it would then be open in the back, and it would work. Because she would be covering the front of her, like she wore like a smock almost.
Let's see.
Oh. He's thinking.
While the prosecution was struggling to put together a valuable explanation for the location of blood on the robe, Sarah's defense lawyer, Bob Pangburn, happened to appear as a guest on the Nancy Grace Current Affair program.
Nancy Grace.
Do you remember that?
I love her so much. She still does stuff.
I love that. Well, Nancy Grace asked Bob about the blood on the robe, and he said it showed possible contamination of evidence and that it actually could help exonerate Sarah Johnson.
Wait, say that one more time.
So Nancy Grace asked Bob, who was Sarah's lawyer,
right,
about the blood on the robe, and he said it showed possible contamination of evidence and that it could actually help exonerate her.
Okay.
This is her defense attorney, so I feel like he's just fucking bluffing. He's gonna say anything that makes the like crowd not believe that she did it. That's his job.
The jury. But also
Crowd.
Meal. I love you.
Meals.
You crack me up. But I mean, it could be true. Who's to say maybe something was mishandled by mistake, and then that mishandled piece of evidence. Okay, you're giving me a look to shut the fuck up. Yeah.
No, I'm excited for this next part.
Okay.
Nancy Grace offered another explanation. She suggested that if Sarah wanted to protect her body and her clothing from blood spatter, she could have put the robe on backwards.
Me and Nance.
Doing that would act as a shield, and the blood would then end up on the back of the robe. But we got a smart one over here.
I love Nancy Grace. I love that she said that. I love that we're on the same page. Why the fuck is Nancy Grace the one who's coming up with this?
Okay, she was like, let me offer another explanation.
Because everybody's like, well, fuck. She had to have been wearing it the proper way.
Right. Like, also, why wouldn't that ever be a thing that people would think about?
Right.
So, Rob Englert and other members of the prosecution team happened to be watching the program, and Grace's theory provided them with a reasonable scenario that would result in blood patterns that were on the robe.
Okay, so now I'm also questioning how thorough this investigation is.
Okay, because how did you not think about that?
It took Nancy Grace 5 seconds,
and
it
y'all,
took me
it's
5
like,
seconds.
Oh, head scratcher here. But during the trial, there was a lot of testimony about Sarah Johnson's inappropriate behavior and lack of emotion about the brutal murder of her parents. Neighbors and friends who offered to comfort Sarah on the day that her parents were killed said she was more concerned about seeing her boyfriend.
Okay, that's fucked up, but also you can't judge somebody by their mourning. I don't like this girl because clearly she did it,
but
also,
you can't just be like, she doesn't care.
Right.
Like, y'all don't know how she does things. Maybe she needs to saddle up and get the shit fucked out of her. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe that's how she gets over it.
Maybe she needs that Darth Vader clapper.
Yeah. She also did not seem traumatized, which would be expected if a teen went through the experience that she had inside the house when her parents were gunned down. At her parents' funeral, she talked about wanting to play volleyball that evening, and any sadness that she displayed seemed superficial. Witnesses also testified about the troubled relationship between Sarah and her mother, but many also added that it was not that unusual for a girl her age to fight with their mother. However, her brother Matt, which is her half-brother, by the way, gave some of the most insightful testimony about Sarah, although it also provided to be some of the most damaging.
Oh, God.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Johnson, which is Matt Johnson, described her as a drama queen and a good actor who had the propensity to lie. During part of his 2-hour testimony, he said that the first thing Sarah told him when he arrived at their home after finding out his parents had been murdered was that the police thought she did it. He told her he thought Dominguez did it, which is Bruno, her boyfriend, which she
didn't like very much.
Denied up and down. She said that Bruno loved Alan Johnson like a father. Matt knew that was not true.
So right away, she's like, me.
Right.
This is about me. Why me? Why me?
They think I ain't in it. Like, you're the only one in the fucking house. She also told Matt that at 2 a.m. on the night before the murders that someone had been to the house. Her parents checked the yard to make sure no one was out there before they went back to bed. She had not provided this information to the police. Regardless, Matt did not believe her, but did not challenge what she was saying. In the weeks after the murders, Matt testified that he avoided asking his sister about the murders because he was afraid of what
she would say?
Yeah.
So, meaning that he had his suspicions that she did it.
Yeah, but it was he's probably scared of her too.
Right. He's probably like, maybe don't, yeah.
Right. Some of the strongest points that Sarah's defense team made during her trial had to do with the lack of a biological matter found on Sarah or her clothes.
That's wild, though.
Okay. Also,
that's what, I mean, the robe. But how the
also,
fuck?
Also, it did. The stuff that was on the robe matched her blood. Like, matched her DNA to her mom's blood.
Right, but they're saying on her person, like, she didn't have any. But that kind of blows my mind, is how did she not have a drop of anything on her? She didn't have nothing in her hair?
She had shit on her socks. I guess that's it.
But also, how thorough are we here in this
Okay,
investigation?
because they couldn't even figure out how
that,
the fucking blood got on the
that
back.
Nancy Grace, that's a big ass red flag to me. Like, period, blood red.
Investigators found nothing in her hair, hands, or anywhere else. Experts testified that with Diane having been shot at such a close range, it would be impossible for the shooter to avoid being sprayed with blood and tissue, yet none was found on Sarah, who underwent 2 complete physical exams on the day of the murders. I'm not going to say it because I already know.
Okay.
I was going to be like, I think. But then I realized.
You were probably taking notes. I can't. You're like, I think this is going to happen.
And then I realized that saying that would give it away. And I know what's happened. Okay. I always like to be like, I think. And then I'm like, shh.
Sarah. Shh.
Don't. But her fingerprints were also not found on the bullets, rifle, or the knives. However, there was one identified print found on the rifle. You want to take a guess about who it is?
Meal.
Oh, no.
It was Sarah.
No.
Oh. Was it Matt?
Who is missing?
Bruno.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
But I'm not saying anything.
Okay.
I'm not putting it in stone or anything. But this is the only missing fraction of...
His handprint was found on the gun?
No, but her handprints aren't found on the gun or the bullets or the rifle. I mean, the rifle or the bullets. So, like... And then they also said that because she was... if someone was shooting in that close proximity, you would have got blood and tissue all over you.
Right,
and
but she didn't.
Red flag. This is how I broke it down in my head.
So, okay.
I was like, wait, so if...
Okay, yeah, you have me.
Okay, the testimony of cellmates of Sarah's who testified about some of the damaging comments she made regarding the murders was challenged. One cellmate said that Sarah said the knives were placed on the bed to throw the police off and make it look like a gang-related shooting. This bitch is dumb.
Right? Don't talk. Don't talk in prison. They're not going to be your friends.
Okay.
Everybody's looking to leak info for a lesser sentence.
Okay. The defense fought to have the testimonies thrown out because the cellmates were adults and the law forbids incarcerated minors.
Oh, because the cellmates were adults and she was a minor being charged as an adult. So they're saying you can't use information against a minor, I guess.
Right. The judge did not agree, stating that if Sarah could be tried as an adult, she could be housed with adult prisoners.
Okay.
The defense team also questioned Matt Johnson about the life insurance money he would get if Sarah were out of the picture, insinuating that he had a lot of gain if Sarah was found guilty. The jury deliberated for 11 hours before finding Sarah Johnson guilty of 2 counts of murder in the first degree. She was sentenced to 2 fixed life in prison terms plus 15 years without the possibility of parole. She was also fined $10,000, of which $5,000 was allocated to go to Matt Johnson. Efforts for a new trial were turned down in 2011. A hearing was granted for November 2012 based on the possibility that new DNA and fingerprint technology that was not available during Sarah Johnson's trial may prove that she's innocent.
What?
Attorney Dennis Benjamin and the Idaho Innocence Project took on her case pro bono in 2011, and on February 18th,
That's my birthday!
2014, the Idaho Supreme Court rejected Johnson's appeal. So they never, see, this case was messy because they knew that someone else would have shot. And they didn't even figure it. They were like, well, we have Sarah.
No, but they found the glove.
Yeah.
They found the glove, but the glove, she could have literally, the reason there aren't fingerprints on there is because she had gloves on.
Yeah, but they're also saying that she had no blood on her.
She could have put, there has to be some fucking shit there. There has to be something.
Right.
My big red flag is still the Nancy Grace thing.
Yeah.
What else did you miss?
Y'all.
You found the glove that had her DNA inside it. She doesn't have fingerprints on the gun. She wore the glove holding the gun, had her robe on backwards, had something possibly over her face. Maybe she did have blood on her. Maybe she fucking washed it off.
The
Maybe
shower
they didn't.
was running.
Boom. Question mark, question mark, question mark?
Yeah.
So
I was reading that, was sure that the boyfriend helped her.
Right. That's what you had me thinking when you said that, the Bruno thing. I mean, shit. She did that for her boyfriend
She said,
of 3 months.
My parents suck.
Bro. That's fucking crazy. I don't think I've met a man in my life who I would ever do anything for that insane. I would never kill my parents.
Right?
I don't know why I had to make that
yeah,
clear.
Yeah, really, I would never do that.
I would. That's so fucked up. Jesus. Shit.
So happy together.
So she's still in jail, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, fuck. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Do you
trying to find this tweet of the week?
Oh, okay. I'll share mine. So, it says my tweet of the week. It says on phone. I leave myself little notes like that.
I could do mine.
Okay.
So this is a tweet from Mary Twigsmith. It's at not pixie tit. The tweet came from 41 Strange. It says in Japanese folklore, Kurote, that's Kurote, is the hand of the creature who lives in toilets. The hairy hand reaches up from the darkness and strokes your behind. Not Pixie Tit said, if this is what it takes for me to get fingered, then so be it.
I hate it. Do you remember that episode we did where I talked about the snakes in the toilet? The
snake in the fucking butt.
I think about that sometimes.
Me too. I think about it.
That's scary. It?
Yeah.
Wait, I'm going to do the sound.
I love that for you.
Thank you. I've been practicing a lot. So my tweet comes from you at
Woo!
Triceratops _. It says, someone please throw me in the paper shredder. I laughed out loud.
Did you? Dude, I was at work and I was staring at the paper shredder and I was like, I wish this was fucking life size. Please someone throw me in.
Oh my God. Oh, you cracked me up. You got a fun fact?
No.
Okay.
I think I already used this one.
That's fine. My fun fact is that a single strand of hair can hold up to 3 ounces of weight. That means a typical person's full head of hair can support up to 12 tons. I think your scalp would rip off.
Yeah.
But if you cut your hair, you could probably make a strong rope. And if it's anything like that Garnier Fructis commercial, yeah, you can totally freaking do that. Well, thank you guys so much for listening.
Thanks, y'all.
We greatly appreciate you lending an ear or two to our mouths as we speak.
We love y'all.
Continuously. Yes, we love you. Thank you for the support. And until next time.
Whoop, whoop. This is Esoteric Oddities. Such a good starting point. I mean, ending point, you know?
Starting point.
Starting point.
Bye, guys.
Bye.